reason. Hear those words. A good servant is faithful and wise and feeds others. 3 qualities. And that is exactly what the 3 stories teach. To be wise, to be faithful, and to be caring. Keep those 3 words in your mind tonight. Now, as the quick note before we get into it, with any parable, we shouldn't press every little detail. Each story is making one main point, so each time let's look for that one point. So we'll take our first parable, about 10 girls that are waiting, from Matthew chapter 25, and it's recorded for us in verses 1 to 13. And just to keep our chairman awake, we're going to call him up at random times tonight to read those sections for us. So Dan, if you don't mind coming forward and reading for us that first parable, Matthew chapter 25 and verses 1 to 13.
Matthew chapter 25, verse 1 to 13. Then shall the kingdom of heaven be likened unto 10 virgins, which took their lamps and went forth to meet the bridegroom. And 5 of them were wise, and 5 were foolish. They that were foolish took their lamps, and took no oil with them. But the wise took oil in their vessels with their lamps. While the bridegroom tarried, they all slumbered and slept. And at midnight there was a cry made, Behold, the bridegroom cometh, go ye out to meet him. Then all those virgins arose and trimmed their lamps. And the foolish said unto the wise, Give us of your oil, for our lamps are gone out. But the wise answered, saying, Not so, lest there be not enough for us and you. But go ye rather to them that sell, and buy for yourselves. And while they went to buy, the bridegroom came, and they that were ready went in with him to the marriage, and the door was shut. Afterward came also the other virgins, saying, Lord, Lord, open to us. But he answered and said, Verily I say unto you, I know you not. Watch therefore, for ye know neither the day nor the hour wherein the Son of Man cometh.
Thanks, Dan. So we have a picture of a village wedding 2,000 years ago in the Middle East. And weddings in those days, as you can imagine, weren't like ours. They consisted of 3 main phases. There was the engagement, which was negotiated by the fathers. And then there was a period of separation where the groom prepared a home, and then a procession culminating in a week-long feast. And that period of separation lasted roughly a year after the engagement, before the bridegroom would come to collect his bride at night. But nobody knew exactly when. It might be early evening, it might be midnight. His path had to be lit, so 10 young women are waiting to meet him, each holding an oil lamp ready to light his way to the feast. And 5 of them in our story, Jesus calls wise, and 5 foolish. And here's the only difference between them. The wise brought extra oil, a spare flask, just in case he was late. The foolish ones brought their lamps, but no reserve. They simply assumed he'd come soon. Well, as we read, he's a long time coming, and all 10 grow drowsy and fall asleep. And then at midnight, the darkest hour, a shout goes up. Here's the bridegroom. Come out to meet him. And they all wake and reach for their lamps, and the 5 with no spare oil find their lamps are flickering and dying out. And they beg the others, give us some of your oil. But the wise ones can't, because if they share, no one will have enough to light the way. So the foolish 5 rush off to buy some more oil. And while they're gone, the bridegroom arrives. The wedding party goes in and the door is shut. And when the 5 come back and knock, Lord, they say, open to us. The answer comes back, I don't know you. They missed the one moment that they were waiting for. Now, the one point Jesus tells us himself in verse 13. Watch, therefore, for you know neither the day nor the hour wherein the Son of Man cometh. The bridegroom is Jesus. The wise are ready. The foolish leave it too late. And notice the oil couldn't be borrowed at the last minute. Some things you simply can't get in a hurry. You can't build a life of faith in the final 5 minutes. And being wise, in Jesus' sense, isn't about being clever. It's about being ready today and not someday. So the first quality is be wise, be ready. And here's what that means for you and me this week. Don't put it off until later. The things that matter most. Later has a way of never coming. And as someone once put it, only today is ours. So the first quality, be wise. He then gives a second parable, and again we'll ask Dan to come and to read that one for us from verses 14 to 30.
Matthew 25, verse 14 to 30. For the kingdom of heaven is as a man travelling into a far country, who called his own servants and delivered unto them his goods. And unto one he gave 5 talents, and to another 2, and to another 1, to every man according to his several ability, and straightway took his journey. Then he that had received the 5 talents went and traded with the same, and made them other 5 talents. And likewise he that had received 2, he also gained other 2. But he that had received 1 went and digged in the earth, and hid his Lord's money. After a long time the Lord of those servants cometh and reckoneth with them. And so he that had received 5 talents came and brought other 5 talents, saying, Lord, thou deliverest unto me 5 talents. Behold, I have gained beside them 5 talents more. His Lord said unto him, Well done, thou good and faithful servant. Thou hast been faithful over a few things. I will make thee ruler over many things. Enter thou into the joy of thy Lord. He also that had received 2 talents came and said, Lord, thou deliverest unto me 2 talents, and behold, I have gained 2 other talents beside them. His Lord said unto him, Well done, good and faithful servant. Thou hast been faithful over a few things. I will make thee ruler over many things. Enter thou into the joy of thy Lord. Then he which had received the 1 talent came and said, Lord, I knew thee, that thou art an hard man, reaping where thou hast not sown, and gathering where thou hast not strawed. I was afraid, and went and hid thy talent in the earth. Lo, there thou hast, that is thine. His Lord answered and said unto him, Thou wicked and slothful servant, thou knewest that I reap where I sowed not, and gather where I have not strawed. Thou oughtest therefore to have put my money to the exchangers, and then at my coming I should have received mine with usury. Take therefore the talent from him, and give it unto him which hath 10 talents. For unto every one that hath shall be given, and he shall have abundance. But from him that hath not shall be taken away even that which he hath. And cast ye the unprofitable servant into outer darkness. There shall be weeping and gnashing of teeth.
Okay, so it's our second parable, the master and the money. In the second story, we've got a man that's going away on a long journey abroad, and before he leaves, he entrusts his money to 3 of his servants to look after. And we're told that he gives to each according to his ability. One receives 5 talents, one receives 2, and one receives a single talent. Then he leaves on his journey. A talent was a large sum of money, about 20 years of full-time work. Now, for those of you that were listening this morning, what's the average wage per week in Australia? A week? That was a trick question, okay? Per day is $200. Per week is around about 1,000. So maybe over a year, what does that equate to? 50. About 50,000. Okay, 20 years of wage, what would that be? A talent be worth? 20 times 5, it's easy. About $1 million. All right, so in this story, the 3 servants are given $5 million, $2 million, and $1 million respectively, with the understanding that they would use that money wisely in the absence of their master. And really, there's 2 courses are open to those servants. They could use the money as capital and trade and sell, or they could commit the money to lenders, put it in the bank and get interest. The first 2, they get to work. They trade, they put the money to use, and each doubles what he has been given. But we read that the third man is afraid, and he goes and he digs a hole, he buries his 1 talent in the ground to keep it safe, and does nothing with it thereafter. And eventually the master comes home and he asks for an account. And the first 2 show what they've made, and to each he says the same warm words in verses 21 and verses 3. He said, "Well done, thou good and faithful servant, enter into the joy of thy Lord." And notice that they didn't earn the same amount, but they received the same welcome. And the reward wasn't for how much that they'd actually made, it was for being faithful with what they had. But the third man comes with an excuse. In verse 25, he says, "I was afraid, so I hid it." And the master is grieved, not because the man lost the money, but because he never tried. And the one point here is simple. Jesus is the master. We are the servants. And while he's away, he's given every one of us something to use. Our abilities, our time, and the good news of the Bible itself. And he doesn't ask for more than we can give. Remember, each of these men were given to his ability. The man with the 1 talent was never expected to match the man with 5. He was only asked to use what he had. To bury it, to do nothing, was the one real failure. So the second quality is be faithful. For you and me, that means whatever God has put in your hands, however small it feels, use it. Don't wait until you think you have more to offer. Faithfulness, is doing something good with what you already have. Okay, and as the Bible puts it elsewhere in James chapter 1 and verses 22 to 25, he says there to be doers of the word and not hearers only, deceiving yourselves. For if anyone is a hearer of the word and not a doer, he is like a man observing his natural face in a mirror. For he observes himself, goes away, and immediately forgets what kind of man he was. But he who looks into the perfect law of liberty and continues in it, and is not a forgetful hearer, but a doer of the work, this one will be blessed in what he does. And so we move on then to the third parable of the sheep and the goats. So again, Dan, if you don't mind coming and reading the remainder of that chapter from verse 31.
Verse 31 to the end. When the Son of Man shall come in his glory, and all the holy angels with him, then shall he sit upon the throne of his glory. And before him shall be gathered all nations, and he shall separate them one from another, as a shepherd divideth his sheep from the goats. And he shall set the sheep on his right hand, but the goats on the left. Then shall the king say unto him that on his right hand, Come, ye blessed of my Father, inherit the kingdom prepared for you from the foundation of the world. For I was an hungered, and ye gave me meat. I was thirsty, and ye gave me drink. I was a stranger, and ye took me in. Naked, and ye clothed me. I was sick, and ye visited me. I was in prison, and ye came unto me. Then shall the righteous answer him, saying, Lord, when saw we thee an hungered, and fed thee, or thirsty, and gave thee drink? When saw we thee a stranger, and took thee in, or naked, and clothed thee? Or when saw we thee sick, or in prison, and came unto thee? And the king shall answer and say unto them, Verily I say unto you, inasmuch as ye have done it unto one of the least of these my brethren, ye have done it unto me. Then shall he say also unto them on the left hand, Depart from me, ye cursed, into everlasting fire, prepared for the devil and his angels. For I was an hungered, and ye gave me no meat. I was thirsty, and ye gave me no drink. I was a stranger, and ye took me not in, naked, and ye clothed me not, sick, and in prison, and ye visited me not. Then shall they also answer unto him, saying, Lord, when saw we thee an hungered, or athirst, or a stranger, or naked, or sick, or in prison, and did not minister unto thee? Then shall he answer them, saying, Verily I say unto you, inasmuch as ye did it not to one of the least of these, ye did it not to me. And these shall go away into everlasting punishment, but the righteous into life eternal.
Thanks, Dan. Well, the third one isn't quite a story. It's really a picture of the final day when Jesus returns. A vision of the judgment seat expressed in symbolic language. And Jesus sits upon the throne of his glory, and gathered before him are all nations, that is, those responsible to him, drawn of all nations and kindreds and people and tongues. In fact, we read of that over in Revelation 7 and verse 9. After these things I looked, and behold, a great multitude, which no one could number, of all nations, tribes, peoples, and tongues, standing before the throne and before the Lamb, clothed with white robes, with palm branches in their hands. So he pictures himself as a shepherd, separating a mixed flock into sheep on his right hand and goats on the left. And the inoffensive, obedient sheep on his right hand, and the mischievous goats are placed on the left. We see that in verses 31 to 33. And here's what's striking. When he welcomes the sheep, he says in verses 35, he says, I was hungry and you fed me. I was a stranger and you took me in. I was sick and in prison and you visited me. And we see that they are all genuinely puzzled. In verse 37, they say, Lord, when? When did we ever see you hungry or sick? And his answer is the very heart of the whole thing. In verse 40, whatever you did for one of the least of these, you did it for me. And that's the one point. It's in everyday life where opportunity abounds. The kindness we show to ordinary people, feeding someone who's hungry, welcoming a stranger, sitting with someone who is sick or lonely. Jesus counts as kindness done to him. And notice these are things that anyone can do. You don't need money or cleverness or a title. Even a child can do them. And the people he welcomes weren't even keeping score. They simply helped because they cared and were surprised that it counted for anything at all. Now, this picture does have a serious side. The ones who never bothered are turned away. And Jesus is honest that our choices matter. But don't miss where the emphasis falls. On kindness, done quietly in everyday life, where the opportunities are all around us. And here's a thought worth holding on to. We don't suddenly become a sheep or a goat on the last day. We are becoming one or the other quietly by how we live right now. So the third quality is to be caring, to love people in small, practical ways, because Jesus first loved us. So then, let's bring our three stories together. 3 stories, each with a single point. The 10 girls in waiting, we learn that we need to be wise, to be ready, to be prepared. Story of the master's money. We need to be faithful, to use what we're given, to be steadfast, loyal, and true to our word, even when it is difficult. And it requires acting with integrity and aligning our daily actions with our promises. And the sheep and the goats, we learn to be caring, to love people in ordinary ways, focusing on small, intentional, and consistent actions rather than grand gestures. And you can easily brighten someone's day by practicing active listening, leaving a brief note of appreciation, or simply offering a warm smile. It's about making people feel truly seen and supported in your day-to-day life. Be wise, be faithful, be caring. And that is the kind of person Jesus is looking for while he is away. Remember back in Matthew chapter 24, we pointed out that key verse 45, as far as the parables of chapter 25 are concerned. But there are some other verses that are worth highlighting that introduce these parables as well. See there in verse 36, concerning Jesus' return back to the earth, he says that, "But of that day and hour knoweth no man, no, not the angels of heaven, but my Father only." And his advice in verses 42 to 43, he says, "Watch therefore, for ye know not what hour your Lord doth come. But know this, that if the good man of the house had known in what watch the thief would come, he would have watched, and would not have suffered his house to be broken up. Therefore," verse 44, "be ye also ready, for in such an hour as ye think not, the Son of Man cometh." And I suggest that if you haven't done it, it's worth colouring in verse 42, verse 44. And again, we have that same theme repeated in the parable of the wise and the foolish virgins in verse 13. "Watch therefore, for ye know neither the day nor the hour wherein the Son of Man cometh." And of course, his advice, verse 45. "Who's a wise servant, whom his Lord hath made ruler of his household, to give them meat in due season?" Well, I want to end where Jesus meant these stories to land. Not in fear, but in hope. He didn't tell them to frighten his friends. He told them because he's coming back. And he wants us to be with him. He wants us to be ready, to be waiting, to not be surprised at his return. The door in the first story does open for those who are ready. The master does come home and says, "Well done," for those who have acted wisely. And the king does turn to people like you and me and say, "Come in." And that is the invitation, and it's open to anyone here tonight, whatever you know or don't know about the Bible. Because the wonderful thing is this: being ready doesn't take a great knowledge or a great ability. It just takes a heart that's willing, starting today. Thank you.